Hello, good night. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments now. Tonight, I want to focus on your questions. I want to focus on helping you to determine whether you need help, how you're going to need help, and also how you're able to get your papers here. So go ahead, put those questions in the comments. I'm jumping straight into questions tonight. So put those questions in the comments. While you're putting the questions in the comments, what I would like to say, so I already see one here. A naturalized citizen with a sealed record and an ACD can travel out of the USA and re-enter. So as a US citizen, they are supposed to, you have the right to enter the country. So if you leave, as long as you're coming in back in with your US passport, because remember there is the, hi there, Chevy, nice to see you. If you have your passport, you should be get back in. Now, as a citizen, if you have a criminal offense in your background that you had when you were already a citizen, you cannot be used against you to deport you. However, where we see this becoming a problem is if you had this issue before you became a citizen, you did not disclose it on your application, and it would have stopped you from getting citizenship, or you willfully excluded that information, that could affect your citizenship if they found it. So I always say this though. Yes, you're a citizen, but if you have any concerns about the record, your past criminal record, it's time to get legal advice. Make sure you're being careful. I know you're already a citizen, but if you have any concerns at all, always best to talk to an immigration attorney. Hi there. So I'm going from one platform to the other, so please just go ahead and put your questions in and I'm going to get to it. I-90 granted 2 days ago with the misdemeanor trespass in 2021. Can I travel when with green card when green card arrives? Great question. Right now, while I'm not your attorney, I can't provide you with legal advice. I would say this: it's not safe for green card holders to travel when you've had a past criminal offense. Yes, it's a misdemeanor trespass charge back in 2021. We do have where now they are pulling people's green cards for something as simple as activism, as participating in peaceful protests, participating in freedom of speech activities. They are detaining our green card holders. It depends on the facts in your case. It depends on whether the misdemeanor charge is removable. We do have the Lake and Riley Act that also now includes it includes minor theft charges. I don't know if trespass is there, and I don't know because with criminal offenses we need to look at that. We need to look at the facts in your case. We need to look at the statute. What does the statute say? We need to then look from the statute. What did you have the conviction on? And then compare that to the rules under immigration that determine whether a criminal offense can lead to removal. There is a situation where if your crime involves moral turpitude, that may actually involve removal, and that depends on the statute. It was after. So I think this was in reference to the citizenship. I see it was after. I'm thinking that's after citizenship. Let's see. Hi there. Thank you so much, Sasha. I appreciate the encouragement. I did my interview in January and now scheduled for another interview in May, marriage base. you need to be cautious here and get legal advice and representation for sure. If you had a marriage-based interview in January and they're calling you back for a second interview, it's likely you're walking into what's called a Stokes interview. The Stokes interview is serious stuff. What it means is that you're not only your marriage-based, not only is your marriage-based green card at risk, but also they are screening your marriage for fraud. And that means sometimes when people go into Stokes interviews, they come out with something larger than just a denial. They come out with accusations of marriage fraud, which come with very, very steep penalties. Removal, and in under this administration, we're sure to see that happen. If they are accusing you of marriage fraud, you will swiftly get a notice to appear after they deny it, or you're going to get so you would be charged with marriage fraud, right? So it's serious. It is serious. You need to be prepared. You need to understand what you need to, the kind of questions you need to prepare for. You need to prepare your spouse for this, because it will not likely be a friendly interview. Now, with marriage-based cases, if you know you're married, marriage is not perfect, but you know you're married, go in with confidence, but go in prepared. Don't, before you go to that interview, do not underestimate it. So many times people will say to me, um, we were married. We're married. This is a real marriage. What do we have to be worried about? Then they go to that interview and they realize that they were not prepared. So yes, you can go in with confidence, but going with confidence because you know that you have prepared with your spouse, you understand what to expect. So yes, Stokes interview, you should be worried, you should be preparing, you should be getting legal representation for that, because it likely means that the stakes are higher. Is it still safe to file I-130 for parent who is out of status? Kid is turning 21 this June. How fast? Absolutely. It is. I would say this. If you qualify for an immigration benefit, go for it. Do not wait. The benefits are still there. Your parent being out of status with no papers being filed is more at risk for being deported than having a petition filed for them. If the child is a US citizen, they're about to turn 21, they can file for their parent while they're here in the US, even if that parent is out of status. That will not be held against the parent. But what will happen if you don't file, and this is where you will hear me say this, I know it's scary. I know it's scary. It was definitely scary before January 20th, before this administration took over. And I can just imagine how scary it is to think about filing any petitions and possibly revealing yourself during this climate. But it's crucial because the relief is there, and you're not going to get it if you don't apply. If you get picked up, you're the 21-year-old didn't file that petition for their parent because they were afraid, and they get picked up by ICE. Guess what's going to happen now? It's unlikely that they're going to have any defenses. They could be removed swiftly, and there would be no chance of filing that petition on time or the adjustment of status. In certain cases, the judge can hear an adjustment of status in the immigration court process, but who wants to possibly be detained during that time, or face the pressures of going before an immigration judge, having witnesses, testimony, opposing counsel, who is going to also be fighting against that adjustment of status, it becomes a lot more expensive, a lot more scary, a lot more stressful, and a lot more complicated. Not to mention the risk of having to face detention or even deportation before you can get the opportunity to go before a judge. So, how fast can you do it? Yesterday. Now, I know you said the kid is turning 21, so they can't do it until they're 21, but here's the deal: prepare everything, and then as soon as the day after their child turns 21, make sure you're ready to file those documents. You can always get in touch with us. We can walk you through the process. And another thing I want to let you know is, do not underestimate this process. I know, yes, people, so you will have village lawyers say it all the time. Oh, go ahead, do it. You don't need a lawyer. Stop right there. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell you it because I hear it. It's so painful to hear it, especially when I'm doing consultations. It's so, terrible to hear when somebody tells me, I thought it was going to be really simple. I did the papers myself. I hired the corner street person who just fills out immigration forms to do it, because how hard could it be? Then they run into major issues. Here's some kinds of issues that you may run into during the process. When you overstay your visa, it's not going to be held against you directly. But here we have an administration that's now looking at fraud from all angles. They're looking for fraud from all angles. So they're going to be examining every aspect and reason that you were out of status. And one of the things they will look out for now is, when you were entering the country, did you intend to overstay your visa? Because if you intended while you were coming into the country to overstay, oh, that's fraud. They're going to be looking at documentation. They're going to be looking at employment. Keep in mind that if you're the immediate relative of a US citizen, they can't hold your employment against you. But if you lie about your employment, they can find misrepresentation. So I have seen where people think that they can't disclose that they've worked here because, oh my gosh, that's going to cause them to be denied, when that's not true in some cases. You always have to be truthful, but sometimes people think they have to unnecessarily lie about their work history when they don't have to do that, and then it complicates the process. So it's so important to have legal representation. So one, you don't go down a rabbit hole doing things that are unnecessary, that's going to get you into trouble, and that you understand the pitfalls, you understand how to prepare for the interview. In the interviews, they are going to be going through every single question in your application again, which they did in the last administration. You have to be prepared for that interview. You have to be prepared to dictate or recite back to the officer everything in your application. So don't underestimate the process here. Get legal representation. We're definitely here helping our clients to get through their processes. And as the time goes by, I'm pretty sure we're going to even be seeing a lot more complex expectations, policies, processes to come back into play. I have my biometrics next week, and for some reason, I'm scared, even though I have a criminal background. So I definitely understand why you are afraid. And yes, if you have a criminal background, I don't know what that criminal background looks like, and that's definitely where you need to get legal representation. Um, and it does present an increased risk when you do have a criminal background, but I don't know what your case is. The biometrics, you do have to get to the biometrics to be able to get through the rest of your case. But if you're worried about anything, as I said before, don't underestimate your case. If you're unrepresented, get legal representation now. All I want to file, hi, I want to file for my brother to USA. Can I file online or by mail? So first, you're gonna have to do the I-130 if you're a US citizen who's 21 or over, and that can be done online, so you don't have to do it by mail. When we're doing I-130, we do it through online, and we find it to be very convenient. And I've even found, and I don't know under this administration if that will be the same, because I am expecting longer processing times just based on the processes they're putting in place that are going to make it more cumbersome. But I would say I even noticed cases would go much more smoothly for especially naturalizations and I-130s when I filed it online. It was very easy. And if we got requests for evidence, if we needed to upload further correspondence, it was very easy to provide that through the online portal. What forms do I need to file for my husband for adjustment of status? So the forms are going to, and keep in mind, as I said before, I do not encourage anybody to do it themselves. But the forms that you need to make sure that you are putting together, and it depends. Are you a US citizen? Are you a permanent resident? Does your spouse even qualify for adjustment of status? But usually it's the I-130, I-485. If you are going for the work permit, a travel document, there are supplemental forms to include as well, like the I-864, which is the affidavit of support that deals with whether you meet the income requirements, as well as the I-130A for spouses of the citizen or permanent resident. So those are the basic forms that are necessary for the initial process. Made intentionally mistake for I-130, I-485 by not including my previous marriage, which was in Iraq. So I'm not sure. I think that you may have made unintentional mistake. You need to get that corrected ASAP, because if you omit any previous marriages, it may affect the officer's decision. They may even, depending on the implications of why that's missing. Were you divorced? Did you not divorce? Can you show proof of divorce in that marriage in Iraq? If you can't, they may see an omission as misrepresentation or fraud. So you want to get that corrected. How can I and let them know ASAP? How can I ask FOIA by mail or online? So we usually do it online on behalf of our clients. You can always get in touch with us, talk to us about why you need the FOIA, and we can assist you. Can we travel from the USA to Afghanistan with green card? I got a green card from SIV case. Whether it's advisable to do that, you really need to do an individual consultation. What is your contact number? Where's your office located? So it's 561-405-4889. If you scroll to the top of the comment section, you'll see the number. You can also go to the link in the profile and go to the website. You'll see the number there as well. You can go ahead and contact us. Our office is located in Delray Beach, Florida. That's the main office, as well as we do have another office in Boca Raton. However, we represent clients in all 50 states. Can I marry someone who was a physical abuse charge before? It may be possible, but it depends on the extent of the charges. Did it involve a minor as well? If I overstayed my visa, but recently got my green card and will be traveling, will I have any issues? It depends on your facts. I'd have to know more. I would say right now, as immigration attorneys, and I'm not the only one, We're being very conservative about advising on travel, just depending on the facts. On a whole, we're conservative, but in order to confirm or to say you're at an increased risk, we really do need to speak with you. My VAWA case was transferred, and a new office has jurisdiction. Was that what does that mean? They're just distributing the workload. What is the purpose of the biometrics and what they ask you about? Biometrics is the background check. So they take your fingerprints, they take your picture and your signature, and then they run an FBI background check just to make sure you don't have anything in your background that's going to stop you from getting the green card or the benefit you're applying for. If I overstayed my visa but recently got my green card, so I answered that. My EAD says 3 months. It's been 3 months on 31st of March. Is the time for EAD usually right? 3 months. So the EAD is usually 5 years. Can I marry a green card holder if I'm in legal status and adjust my status? I would say this: get in touch with us. It's urgent. It's maybe possible, but it depends on timing. You must file an I-130 petition and then wait for it to become current and then file. But if you never file that I-130, you'll never get to that point where it's current for you to file adjustment of status. If you're in status now, I don't know when your time expires, but you would at the time that the number becomes available, the priority date becomes available, meaning you can file adjustment of status. You also need to have your you need to be in status, and the priority date needs to be current at the same time. So you need to maintain your status. The processing time shows 3 months, but it has been 3 months. Uh, that processing time calculator is very annoying, and it just for some people it just keeps dragging on and on and on, leaving them in suspense. Here's my advice: don't hold your breath, or you're not going to make it. Um, that is not very accurate, and if it's going to take them more time, they're just going to extend the time. Good evening. Got bona fide for T visa. What's next? So the good news is, with the bona fide determination, you have a stay from any kind of removals. You are safe and protected with that. You should take that everywhere with you with your identification. What's next is probably a decision. Can I file citizenship if I owe taxes but is on payment plan? Yes. You just show that you're complying and you're making a payment. You're making payments. Good night. Good night. Is there an application fee for VAWA? And if not, do I have to complete a form to? There's no fee for VAWA right now. Under the last administration, they did have fees. Biden's administration took the fees away, and now there's no announcement of them adding fees, but we have to watch and see. Good evening. I know in the last administration they had fees and they tried to increase the fees. Good evening. When got bona fide? Okay, what's next? How long does it take to get Visa Center to send your interview? I'm seeing a year and a half to 2 years. Good night. Let's see. Oh, they're moving. Good night. Married legally to permanent resident, February 2024. How long is approval time? So this is complicated. If you're married to a permanent resident and you're talking about the I-130, you're looking at 9 to 12 months. However, if you're maintaining your status, you haven't overstayed, and you have a current visa, and in addition to that, the priority date becomes current while you're here on a current visa, then you can apply for adjustment of status. Good night. I-360 is pending for 30 months now. What is the normal processing times? 2.5 to 3 years. So you're approaching the 3 years. I have an interview for next month for I-485. What's your advice? I came through K1 visa 9 months ago. So the good news is you've won half the battle. If you've convinced them the fiance visa is valid and bona fide, it means that you just have to now show that you're now married and you continue to have a bona fide marriage. So you have to show evidence of that. Um, USCIS ask about your work history. If you are naturalizing your status, yes, they do expect them to go line by line through your application. So know your application. How much you got to make a year to file for someone? There's an I-864P form that's going to tell you how much you have to make based on your household size. Make sure you count you and your relative in the household. I did make a mistake on I-130 by not including previous marriage. You need to straighten that out because that can be a big problem. Will you advise to travel on advance parole while waiting for FAWA decision? So I'm being conservative with advising on travel right now until we know what's going on. Right now, even students, so as I said before, a lot of people went into this new administration thinking it's only undocumented immigrants who are being targeted. That's not true. Right now, hundreds of students' visas are being revoked across universities. So they are also targeting legal immigrants, people who are here with their papers, people who are coming in with student visas, who are green card holders, are also being targeted. So be mindful of that. Have a visa that expired in June. When to get it renewed but got denied? Can I still travel on it? I don't know if you meant it expired in June. If it's already expired, you can't travel on it. If you got denied, then you may come by problems when you're trying to either leave on that visa or you're trying to enter with a visa that's about to expire. If my daughter is 19 in May as a green card holder, if I file for her now, would she age out in 2 years? So there are certain protections in place that once you file for them, it can hold their age, freeze their age. So I would encourage you to apply now for the I-130 so that they do have the likelihood of being protected under the Child Status Protection Act. If you don't file, it might compromise their ability to qualify based on age and all. All right, so now I'm going to answer questions on Instagram and then I'm going to go to YouTube and Facebook. So go ahead, put your questions in. I am going to answer. I'm a green card holder. Can I travel? Here's the deal. Green card holders are facing increased risk of being targeted, and it really depends on your facts. There are certain factors that do increase your risk: past criminal record, if you're going from a 2-year to a 10-year green card, if you've been very vocal, you've been an activist for certain political issues that may not align with this US government, those kinds of issues put you at an increased risk. Do you assist with VAWA cases? Absolutely, yes. That's the case type we focus on here at this law firm. So get in touch with us. We're very good at it. Can we apply for VAWA overseas? Yes, under certain circumstances. If you can show you were abused, mistreated in the US, or you were the spouse of a military member, spouse, parent, or child of a military member, US military member, or someone who worked in the federal government, works in the federal or worked in the federal government at that time. Hello, good night. Can you get your green card if you married to a green card holder? Yes, under certain circumstances, very specific conditions. So this is where get in touch with us. We do a free initial evaluation, and then we do a strategy session to see how we can help you. But that's a good start to show you may qualify, but we need to know other details to confirm. How long does it take to get your green card? F3, 12 years for the F3. That is the married son or daughter of a US citizen. Can you file for citizenship 1 year after removing your 2 year? Yes, it's possible if you are still married to the US citizen spouse and living in marital union. Yes. We are qualified and just waiting for a date. Good night. We're currently waiting for permanent resident interview date for F3 category. We live in Guyana. Yes, so that's good. You're waiting. Can two college students get married? Can he file for me immediately after court marriage? And how long does it take? Yeah, sure. But you have to keep in mind that you should be submitting a strong application, because the immigration officer is now going to be making and basically making a decision looking at your case file. You don't want to go into any interviews with them having the wrong idea about your marriage. So get in touch with us. We definitely work with clients to file their marriage-based cases. So go ahead and get in touch so we can help. Is it a red flag if my spouse has a baby that's not mine, but her 2 years temporary green card will be expired soon? Yes, that is going to be a major question. How long does it take to get a VAWA work permit and travel document? 6 to 12 months. My VAWA got approved. Congratulations. And I send my medical. Yes, never hear anything 6 months ago. So yes, it is taking a while. If you got a request for evidence, you can possibly put in a case inquiry to determine what went wrong. How long does the EAD come after the bona fide determination? Any specific case from your clients? So the EADs are taking about 3 to 6 months after the bona fide determination. So it is frustratingly slow, just because first the bona fide does take about 90 days, so that's 3 months, and then after that you still have to wait another 3 to 6 months for the work permit to be processed. The good news is the bona fide determination letter does protect you while you wait for your process. So that's one good thing. I got a proof of all when I submit my, I think I answered that already. So let's say you've got your green card. Is it safe to travel to other countries and return to the US without hassle, even if you don't have a charge? It may be possible, but there are risk factors now. It's all over. There is a pattern, and you have to be very careful. Would they pull a green card if someone didn't pay a parking ticket? Parking ticket, not necessarily, but if if it starts to turns into an actual criminal offense, um, even then it's unlikely it would be affect you. Uh, but it depends on the facts. F1 visa holder who didn't go to school but married a US citizen, how can he get his green card? Through his US citizen spouse. So if he came on a student visa, um, and is now married to a US citizen, it's possible to get the green card. But there are going to be questions about why they never went to school and they entered the F1 with the F1 visa, which means that there could be assumptions or accusations of fraud coming in. So this is where you definitely should get representation, because you may have some problems. How long does it take to get a C31 EAD through VAWA? 3 years. But keep in mind, if you file an adjustment of status, you can get it in 6 to 12 months. Can you file for citizenship 1 year after removing your 2-year green card? Yes, that's possible. Got my prima facie. What benefits can I apply for? It depends on the state. Check with your state. Hi there, Chevy. It's so nice to see you. All right, now I'm on YouTube and Facebook. Can you get a T visa from a bad employer threatening to deport you? Yes, that's the first red flag. If you went through that, it's time to give us a call for sure. Because an employer threatening to deport you is number one red flag for trafficking. Is this possible? USA, I scheduled my interview for another state instead of my state. I called them. They said they will reschedule me, and they asked for a second and they asked for the second RFE. They've not received the RFE. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened there or what the question is. Good evening. Hi, Ransom. My case has been approved. I-485 VAWA green card. Congratulations. Recently, I submitted an I-589 asylum petition for a family that was faced with deportation hearing last month. So just be careful with the asylum cases. There are very specific requirements, and you can actually get into more problems filing an asylum that is not done properly, or they don't feel meets the requirements. So be very careful. How long does it take for a USCIS to respond to RFE? It depends. I've seen 2 weeks. I've seen 4 months. It depends. I got my work permit and AP from VAWA case. My question is, if I have my back taxes that I pay monthly, can affect my case? No. Just show you are compliant with your taxes. I'm taking okay, so that's the bar exam. Okay, congratulations. Yes, third time will be a charm. Go for it. How long after VAWA green card is being approved can I do citizenship? 3 years after getting the green card. Which do you recommend, the K1 visa or the K3, which is faster? That's always a tough question. Just because, guess what? The K1, which is the fiance visa, K3 spouse, are, I would say, even going on the same timeline, which is a year and a half to 2 years. K3 is a little iffy. I've always gotten the green card for my clients before the K3 even process. The good news is K3 is free, so you're not spending more money filing a K3. But the K3 is the spouse of a US citizen who lives abroad. And the way the K3 was implemented back in the day, it was meant to speed up the process, give them a quick visa to be able to come to the US and stay temporarily with their spouse, and then adjust status. That may not be how things are now with the K3. So with the K3, I would say that's very iffy based on my own experience with it, because I do file K3s along with the petition. But the K1, I would say a year and a half to 2 years for that process. My prima facie expired last week, and they haven't received new I-360. So if you're worried about getting a new one, it's going to come. It automatically sends. Applied for employment authorization card and advanced parole. Received letter of receipt on September 11th. No need for fingerprints up until now. The employment authorization paper is yet to arrive. So it's basically just waiting for correspondence. What if an immigrant has multiple wives but comes from a country like Morocco that sanctioned polygamy? That's not allowed under immigration, and that does have steep penalties. A friend who just had a baby just submitted an asylum case over a month ago. After a year, she got her hair due to medical issues, and her visa just expired last week. How long it'll take to send the receipt? So it could be 2 weeks, 2 to 8 weeks to get that receipt notice. Good evening there, Black Widow. How long does it take to get an answer with the I-360? My prima facie is going to expire in May. So usually about a month after you'll get the renewed prima facie. What's the processing time for I-360? So 2.5 to 3 years, but keep in mind if you file adjustment of status with it, you're getting the work permit in 6 to 12 months. Do states like Connecticut count as one of those states to not take the risk of traveling by driving? I'm not sure about Connecticut, but I do know that many states are now entering agreements, state law enforcement entering agreements with ICE, which is disturbing because it is definitely not going to um, reduce crime. It's going to increase crime because immigrants are going to be afraid to report it because these arrangements between different cities and ICE. So with Connecticut, I know seems to be one of the safer states, but there really the risk is everywhere now. So I would say if you don't have your papers and you're worried, make sure you do proper research about where you're going to know what you're getting into. What's the processing time to get work permit with VAWA? 6 to 12 months. I came into the country with J1 for exchange program. Do I have a chance of expediting my stay after extending my stay after my 1 year? If you have the 2 year foreign residency requirement, then no. How you wouldn't be able to extend status. How long does it take to get a work permit through VAWA? 6 to 12 months. I have an interview for I-45 after they approved I-130. However, I made mistake by not including my previous marriage. So we answered that already. You need to fix it. Wow, you're on at this time. Yes, the days I do sometimes want to come on, earlier, but the days won't allow me to. All right. So I'm going to just answer just a few more on TikTok and then I'll head out. Tomorrow, I'm going to aim to be back here. I try to be on here during the day, but I will be here. What I'll say, like, subscribe, follow in order to get notification I'm live so that you can join if you're available. So make sure you do that now. I'm on TikTok. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube, getting the green card on YouTube. If you want to watch a replay of this video, go to YouTube and enter getting the green card and subscribe to the channel there. You'll be able to get replays of the lives as well as content that is not on any other platform. I do long videos that talk about different policy changes and things that are happening, forms of relief that you can get. So, take the step to do that, especially TikTok. We don't know what's going to happen with TikTok. I do want you to be able to touch base with me. If you go to the profile page on TikTok, you will see links to Instagram. Make sure you join and Instagram and I believe YouTube. Make sure you follow me on those channels and those platforms so that we can continue this conversation. Now, if you don't count yourself out. You're very welcome. Don't count yourself out. If you need assistance, the relief is still there. Benefits are still there, as you can see. We are still getting receipt notices. We're still filing. Nothing has stopped. As a matter of fact, we just got a deferred action which is discretionary regarding one of our clients who had a medical issue. And that's basically just asking the office, can you please put a hold on any kind of actions? Give them permission to be here for 2 years to tend to what their medical needs. We just got that. That just because when I do talk about videos on the social media, there are some trollers that come on and say, oh, that's gone, Trump is in, there's no relief, none of that works. Not true. It's based in the law. The law says that this relief is there, and the administration, they are processing these kinds of reliefs under the law. So I would say don't count yourself out. Give us a call. Go to the link in the profile, so that, or DM us. We have staff that answers your DMs. We have live staff that answers your DMs 24 hours a day. And we also have staff that answer the phone, and I work closely with all of my team. Here at ST Law Office, we have a team of about 30 people, and I work closely with each and every one of my team members, to make sure we're doing what we can to help our clients. So take advantage of that. My clients do have a large legal team that's there at their disposal in addition to me. So give us a call, start with that. We make it very easy for you to contact us. So send us a message, DM us, call us. You are welcome to do that any time of the day so that we can talk to you about getting the relief you need. What we do is a free initial evaluation, so you can DM us and then we'll get started on getting that arranged for you so that we can figure out, is there something we can help you with, and get started on it. What if my I-751 dismissed in court in 2023? I was divorced in 2016. What option will I have now? So this is complicated, but if it was dismissed, then we would want to know, there may be the ability to refile, but we have to understand what happened. Why did they dismiss your I-751 in court? And usually it's in court because it was either denied at the USCIS or you didn't file on time. So we need to figure out the history and be able to approach it like that. Can I switch my visa to a student visa if I'm here on a tourist visa and been here for 120 days? It's possible, but you have to look at applying for an extension at the same time you're applying for changing status to a student visa, because you have to maintain your status, of course, during that time. And you want to make sure that you are not breaking the rules, violating the terms of your tourist visa. So, in addition to filing a change of status, you have to also look at an extension to make sure you're maintaining your status. Is everyone getting interviews for I-360 VAWA these days? No, not everybody. They are picking and choosing. Now, for adjustment of status, you can be sure you're going to get the interview. So first, when your I-360 is approved, then you get the interview for the I-45 to get the green card. Not everybody is being interviewed for the VAWA petition stage, but because of the fraud that was happening, especially in New York, they have now said they're going to choose certain people to interview in the VAWA process. I was ordered deported in 2006, but was granted CAT, which is Convention Against Torture. So you may not have qualified for asylum, but they said, oh, you qualify to stay because we've determined you face danger going back to your country. If conditions have changed in your country that they now believe, ICE or the government believes that you can now be removed, yes, you would have to watch out for that. But if nothing has changed in your country, no conditions have changed, then it's likely you will continue to be protected under CAT. Is everyone getting interviews for I-360 these days? Do you take pending marriage cases and represent them for the interview? So, no, we do not take any cases that And it depends, but in a case where it's just for the interview, we do not usually do that. But I would say this, definitely get in touch with us, do an initial evaluation just to make sure there are no facts in there that would be different for us. I did file, so if you want to file your case, get in touch with us first because in order to make sure that we are successful in your case, we want to make sure we are working with you before we are preparing everything, we and everybody's on the same page. Oftentimes, if we take the case after you filed, and many attorneys are like this, by the way, then it's for liability reasons. It can affect our ability to represent you if mistakes were made that we can't identify, or we only identify later because it was already filed. Sometimes the damage is done and it can't be corrected. All right, that's going to be it from me tonight. Thanks everybody for your time. I will be back tomorrow. So just like, subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell so that you can be aware when I hop on, you'll get notification and we can then talk about more questions and more updates. There's a lot going on. By the way, I do issue a weekly newsletter that discusses changes that are happening. It's very informative and I make sure it's detailed so that you understand by looking at it very quickly what is going on, whether you're at risk, what you should be looking out for. So please make sure you when you go to Linktree, subscribe to the newsletter. When you go to the website, if you do fill out our information form, then you'll also be forwarded to to be subscribed to our newsletter. So can I correct the mistake I made in I-130 and I-45 interview? So when it gets to the interview, it gets a little more iffy. It's a little harder and it's hard to take back. So it just depends on what the mistake was. But this is why I say always make sure you get legal advice first. Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody. Hi there, Karen. Good night. Um, that's going to be it for me. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.